Hey, welcome to PBHS Edge. It's week 14. Amazing week of football, a bunch of upsets, crazy games, and just overall a great week of football. Let's jump into the round robin. Oh, wait, let me first introduce everyone. I'm joined by Rashab, Mr. Ellis, and Mr. Woodward. So now let's jump into the round robin of our teams. My Washington football team went into the desert and pulled off a win. A lot of people didn't expect us to do. They thought the air attack of the Raiders would come and punish our defense, but our defense stepped up. We shut down that air attack. We game planned well for those deep balls and limited them. And a lot of the miscommunication errors we had all early in the season, you saw we got killed by deep plays that were just horrible miscommunications, handoffs between safeties and cornerbacks. It was not working. And this game, we showed up and did it. And Antonio Gibson keeps playing better and better and better. And he's rising up the leaderboards for yards and total rushing yards in the NFL. And I just love this way the team is playing. We found our groove on the ground, and our defense is stepping up. So a great week overall for us.
Yeah, from our Ravens, very heart-wrenching loss at Pittsburgh on the road. Hats off to Pittsburgh for playing a good game and defensively. Definitely a classic Ravens Steelers game, something that, will always have you at the edge of the seat, always thinking what's gonna happen. And it's always just like a good game to watch. But I'm gonna start with some takeaways. Let's start with the good at least. Running back Devontae Freeman, who is improving every week and becoming a very critical role in this offense. He's emerging as a reliable back and a catching back, and he's showing signs of his old 2015 self, which is awesome to see. And I also believe that going straight for the 2 point conversion or like the kill shot had to be the only right call given the circumstances. Marlon Humphrey suffering a torn pectoral on that previous Steelers drive where Deontay Johnson scored. Not knowing at the time, some people may have thought it was a crazy call, but looking back at it when Harbaugh announced that Humphrey, was out for a while, it makes sense. It was a great play design and call by Roman and Hars, but the execution had to be there. And not to get to the bad, I think some accountability does fall on Lamar Jackson. At times he held the ball for way too long in the pocket, and some of the decisions, that led to 7 sacks and an interception thrown on the first drive. Lamar was not sharp passing the ball either, failing to hit wide receivers on breaks, in stride, and simple passes. I know right before the touchdown to Sammy Watkins, which would have at the end of the game, Mark Andrews was running up the seam in the end zone. Lamar just completely missed him. Like the ball went right below him. Um, yeah, I have confidence that Lamar Jackson will fix this, but it won't come in one game's time. There were also missed turnover opportunities. Like, for example, Ben almost threw an interception, which was in the fingertips of Marlon Humphrey, and then Patrick Queen had an interception being waved off by pass interference. These two examples were just costly interceptions that we could have benefited off so hard. And, heading to Cleveland with the depleted passing D, but a strong run D is going to be interesting. But I guess we'll have to see what this team shows against the Browns.
You mean clowns. And this AFC North football is awesome, man. I mean, look, that was not a well-played game. We know this. The quality of that game was C- at best, but let's be real. It passes in 2021 for good entertainment. It was fun out there. And let me tell you, no one was more psyched / checking my pants than I've ever been. And when Harbaugh, I saw him as soon as I saw him put up the 2 immediately, like as soon as they scored, the camera flashed. It was almost like it was a script, And as soon as I saw that, I'm like, oh, bleep, it's over. And, we were vulnerable too. I mean, y'all took it right down the field. And it's interesting what Harbaugh said, because I felt the same way about us. I mean, we were winded, especially after you guys possessed the ball for 23 minutes in the first half. But I will say this, we'll take the W, but you better win tonight too. And you better keep winning, because you got some teams that are about to go on some streaks here that have some favorable schedules, and it ain't the AFC North teams. I said at the beginning of the season, 10-7 wins this division. I still firmly believe it. I'm wondering if 9-7-1 might also get it done when you look at the injury situation with the Ravens. No, I mean, we laugh, but when you look at that injury situation with the Ravens, I know why Harbaugh went for it. Because that defense, that secondary, schedule coming up. However, a great veteran coach will be fine.
That's a good point. Harbaugh definitely went for 2 right there because he didn't want to play defense anymore. All the talk was about Justin Tucker. But you have to be able to play defense, and they're lucky they're not on a short week. because you guys on the short week coming off of that win, albeit a strange play, not a strange play, but like a bing bang play just happened so fast. TJ Watt quick off the edge and Lamar with the quick sidearm pass. I mean, to me, it looked like it was good, and then it wasn't. But anyway, on to the game that I thoroughly enjoyed Monday night. And I said before that game began Monday night, I hope this is like the time they played on Thursday night a couple of weeks ago, where the game was over by about 11:15. And I don't mean over like the Pats had it wrapped up. I mean, the game was done. Let's be clear. It's a Thursday night. And on a Monday night, it's worse. I got the rest of the week ahead of me, but I never imagined 222 rushing yards and 19 passing yards would result in a dub. In part because I can never even imagine 222 rushing yards. Teams don't do that. That's Oklahoma numbers from back in the day, running the wishbone, baby. And so the Patriots they stupefy me every single week. It is really, and I've said this, I sound like a broken record, I'm sure, maybe one that you'd like to break. This is what it was like, when I didn't expect this. Last year was really rough, and what a difference a year makes in getting a turnaround where we controlled Buffalo instead of watching them just destroy us on Monday night. And it's a different, I don't know how they did it. I mean, kudos to everybody working for the Patriots, coach, staff, everybody in the office. What are they doing? They changed that culture in a year. And it's just a totally different team. The defense plays defense like they used to play defense. The offense is smart and manages the clock and manages the ball. They're tough. They're tough. No worries this week. We're off.
All right. Talking about the call, John Harbaugh going for 2. My dad thought they won the game, but my inner Ravens hating self, I predicted them to lose and choke that. But jumping into tonight's game,
Just say real quick, that timeout that Tomlin called before the 2-pointer was huge. Like having that timeout right there. And, Steelers fans love to hammer Tomlin for his clock management. That might have kept our season alive, that timeout. Because if we don't have time to reload there and they jump up to the line of scrimmage there, that's ball game, season over for us.
hey, we call Tomlin a genius here all the time, so he showed it again why he's so smart. But tonight's game, we got the Steelers versus the Vikings, with the line being 44.5, and the Vikings have an edge of minus 3.5. As you guys always know, the Vikings and me don't go along together. Captain Kirk and I hate each other. I hate that man. He is not good, but he's gotten blessed with a great wide receiving corps. Justin Jefferson is an elite wide receiver. Any offense in the league would kill to have him. And they're getting Dalvin Cook back, which makes no sense. I swear he dislocated his shoulder like 11 days ago. I don't know how you come back to play a game.
Deer antler spray.
Hey man, whatever they have going on there, I need that for my knees because my knees haven't recovered in 2 years. But looking at this game, the Steelers are hyped up. I feel like they shut down a Ravens team, even though they may be injured. A division win is a division win, especially in the AFC North. Every team loves a good division win. And the Vikings are coming off a loss to the 0-10 Lions, the previously 0-10 Lions. They're now 1-10-1. So let's go, Jared Goff. Woohoo! But the Vikings don't have confidence. I think they want to come out and show up, but it's the Vikings. Captain Kirk, prime time, doesn't go well. And Najee Harris, he performs. He keeps performing, and he's going to be in the spotlight today. And I think he's going to have a big game. I think he might go for 2 touchdowns. So give me the Steelers winning this game, 21-13.
Yeah, Steelers head up to Minneapolis, coming off a short week against a nail biter win against the Ravens. The Vikings are coming off a tough loss, as Angad pointed out, in Detroit, which Jared Goff led a game-winning drive to score their first W of the season. Minneapolis gets back Dalvin Cook, which seemed like, as Angad said, like he was going to miss an extended amount of time with the shoulder injury, but he's officially active for the game. I think some key players to watch out for Pittsburgh today are Najee Harris, Deontay Johnson, and TJ Watt, as all 3 of them are coming off strong performances. Deontay Johnson having 2 touchdowns, TJ Watt coming off like a multiple sack performance, and Najee Harris just continue to pound the rock. And also a notable absence for the Vikings tonight is wide receiver Adam Thielen. So more workload on Justin Jefferson, but we'll see. I still think the Steelers can take this one, and they carry their momentum 31-21.
Well, fellas, I'd love for you to be right, but we're 2-6 all time under Ben and Tomlin on the road on Thursday Night Football. And this is going to be a tough one here, especially Minnesota coming off. As soon as I saw Detroit beat them, I'm like, oh, so much for going up there and just grabbing one. Nah, not now. This team's coming out. Look, Zim's a great coach. Respect him, even though I think he's had a tough time with today's player. That's a figure of speech for those of you out there, but a little bit of a trouble. But I'll say this: he'll come in ready. They're going to have a good game plan. It's easy to game plan against Ben. Bring pressure without blitzing, and if you can do that, you beat Ben. Well, let's see how John LeGlue does. It's nice to have a little glue in there tonight. So let's see if John can hold up for us. Let's get that ball to Norwich as often as we can tonight. But I think it's going to be a struggle. I think we're going to go down 20-16 here. It's going to be tough. I just been, I can't see him. He just doesn't have it in him anymore to get up 2 games in a row. And he really did get up for that Ravens game, and particularly late in the game when he drew the plays up in the dirt. That said, if we come out no huddle tonight, I'll be absolutely thrilled. I think it'll be a very different result. But we won't, because we pay our coaches to do what they do. And Matt Canada has a horrific 15-play script to open up. And, guarantee you 0 points at the end of the first quarter. Final score, Minnesota 20, Steelers 16. Darlin Kirky, you're so great. Mr. Science, matriculate, the genius we all know when it comes to the COVID science. Captain Kirk.
Yeah, what is with these coaches who script these first 15 plays and those plays don't work? Why don't they get rid of that script? It's like it's locked in stone and they think can't change it now. It just doesn't make sense to me. So you're right about that for sure. I mean, of course you're right on everything Steelers, but
yeah.
Here you are. So the thing is on this one, the AFC North, it really is. It's the black and blue division. And it's fun to watch, even when the Bungles and the Clowns are involved, but especially the Steelers and the Ravens. There's not a better rivalry in the NFL right now. It's, the 2 teams continue to be relevant. And I only wish that this game they were going to bust out the old 70s Steelers Vikings uniforms. That'd be killer. The dark purple and those Steeler whites out there. That'd be sweet.
Block numbers, numbers, like the steel mill. They used to block. So you got block numbers there. My jersey, yeah, block number 1, eh?
That would be worth watching. That would be worth watching. Chuck Foreman coming out of the backfield, Bud Grant on the sideline, and Chuck Knoll. But the Steelers did enough last week. And so, I was impressed by that because it was a rivalry game, a division game. And like you guys have said, Tomlin and even Ben drawing up plays in the dirt, as you say, everybody was on board. And so what I thought a couple of weeks ago with the music in the locker room and all this kind of stuff back and forth, it didn't break them. And that shows me there's some leadership there. There's some buy-in there. And so unfortunately, Mr. Ellis's worst nightmare, TJ Watt, had 3.5 sacks. I know nothing in the first half, but some people would tell you, well, don't play in the first half. Let's see what you can do in the second half, crunch time. And he put the pressure on Lamar. He got in there quick and forced him to quick sidearm that throw. And, I thought that was big. I do worry about them on a short week, a little bit of a lull, traveling. And the Vikings, as you said, they lost to the Lions. At least the Steelers, after this one, they may drop it, but they'll say, at least we didn't lose to the Lions. For me, I got to go with the home team on this one. Captain Kirk, rub some dirt on it. 24, Steel Town 20.
Close game. All right, next up, we have my Washington football team versus the Cowboys. The line's 48, and the edge is for the Cowboys minus 4.5. That number 4, let me talk about that number 4 real quick. The Washington football team, we're on our 4th kicker, 4th center, 4th defensive end, 4th win in a row. 4 is a magical number. I can keep going. 4. That 4 games where we've dominated the rushing game. Absolutely dominated it. We shut down the opposition and we fed Antonio Gibson and he carried us. Another 4. Taylor Heineke. He is balling out with confidence. His stats are getting higher and higher. People keep writing him off. That's what he loves. Keep disrespecting him. He is a dog. He competes. The more you guys write him off, the more you disrespect him, the better and better he gets. So Now let's look at the other team, the Cowboys. They won last week, but at a cost. Tony Pollard did get hurt. I'm not sure the extent of the injury. He is a game time decision, but if he is out, that is a big boost for us because I believe our defensive ends and our defensive tackles can shut down Ezekiel Elliott, especially with the way we're playing this year and the way he's playing this year. He is not performing well at all. And if you can shut down the run game, I feel like we have a good chance at limiting their offense in general. Of course, their gravy is the wide receivers, C.D. Lamb, Amari Cooper, Michael Gallup, sure, but I believe our cornerbacks are balling out. Kendall Fuller, William Jackson, both are playing amazing right now. They limited DK Metcalf to like one catch, 14 yards. Of course, we had issues with Tyler Lockett, but who doesn't? He has his moments. But what the also with Landon Collins returning, I feel like this defense is primed and ready to go to keep pushing this run forward and shut down this Cowboys team. We're 1-7 against Dak. We're tired of losing to him. At some point we have to change this. We got to beat him. We showed last year we can beat them. And all the Cowboys fans say, "Oh, it's without Dak. It was without Dak." Like they just keep talking trash. And I hope Heineke's hearing this trash talk because it's gonna fuel him up. And Antonio Gibson, hopefully it fuels him up. He got a hat trick last year on Thanksgiving on Prime TV or live TV, prime time. Dropped 3 touchdowns on them. I want to see that dominant performance again from him, and I want Heineke to keep balling out. If we get the run game going, along with JD McKissick coming back, that's Taylor Heineke to continue using. So if he's back and Gibson keeps, I, I predicted us lose at some points in this win streak, but I'm going to keep riding with my team. We upset the Cowboys, put a pause in their division winning thoughts, and we pull this victory out in FedEx Field. Give me the Washington football team winning this 28-24.
Interesting take. That was a really good take actually. The Washington team has gained so much steam recently. I mean, Heineke's playing solid. That defense is starting to feel itself. They're welcoming Dak Prescott and company. What is their first game against each other, but a huge game for both teams. This is Ron Rivera's first game against Dak, so it'll be interesting to see how Washington plays against this Dallas offense that can strike quickly. But it will be a good defense versus a good defensive matchup versus a good offensive matchup. As Zanga said, the Washington football team defense has been playing really good. Like you said, limited DK Metcalf, but they did have issues with Lockett, but I think that can be solved really quickly. I think that this defense, can, still pick themselves back up after, getting put down. So, and how about the fight in Heineke, man? That man just does not quit. That man is just hungry and hungry and hungry. And it's really good to see that for the Washington offense. But this week I'm running the hot hand in FedEx Field. Give me Washington 28-24.
I agree, fellas. It's tough to pick against this team. I mean, first of all, Mike McCarthy guaranteed a win today, so we can stop right there.
So disrespectful. I hope we punch them in the mouth.
It's just hilarious. Yeah, you figure, guy grew up in a burg area, he's smarter than that, eh? But he's not. And he's had some bad losses. That Raiders loss was a bad loss, right? It was a bad loss. There was another bad loss before that to Denver. Well, now you're on the road and you're playing at Ron Rivera, who is a second half coach. I mean, remember, Ron has been a second half coach and proven himself to be that for most of his career. The last year in Carolina aside, or last 2 years there, he's been a second half coach. I feel like this team's come together. The Chase Young, as well in town as he is, there may have been a little, now everybody's not focused on Chase Young. Now everybody's focused on team, right? And so this is like team ball. And this is Jack Del Rio kind of ball, right? Team ball. I mean, look at Jack Del Rio. I got to give him credit. His political beliefs and I will never be in the same stratosphere, but I'll give him credit for his, accomplishment on the field of being able to somehow keep the 3-4 relevant in 2021. Only 2 teams on God have been able to do that, yours and mine. And there's been times where you wonder how could they still be relevant. But they'll do enough in this game to get it done. I have a lot of respect for Dak. He's played well this season, considering he's been dinged. He still plays well, but I got 27-24. Heine and the boys hanging on, playing to get them happy feet. Going to FedEx Field, all 41,000 Dallas fans and 19,000 Washington fans.
Waiting until Monday morning.
Sorry, I got it, but it doesn't matter. It's more fun when you win when it's only 20K of you, It's more fun when you win.
They'll all be have plenty of time to be talking smack to each other as they're sitting in the traffic to try to get out of FedEx Field. My God. This game could not come at a better time for Washington. I mean, they are peaking right now. I mean, absolutely peaking. You know, I always heard 3 is the magic number, but 4, I'll go with you right there, man. Taylor Heineke is. Talked to a buddy of mine today, big Pats fan, big fan of the show, and he loves Taylor Heineke. I mean, this is the same guy 10 years ago. He thought the Washington then Redskins were from Seattle. And now he knows who Taylor Heineke is. Now, I live here now, but also he has made a name for himself. People love the underdog. And what he did last year in the playoffs, he's recreating them in that magic with just his energy and his drive. So, you know, Washington's the hottest team in the NFL, not named New England. And, you know, those four wins in a row have been impressive. And so it's fantastic that this game is, you know, at FedEx, despite the large Cowboy numbers, but they face that all the time anyway. And you're right, though, being 1-7 against Dak, who is, by the way, 21-6 versus the NFC East. I mean, that's impressive. But those have not been great teams. You know, the Giants have not been relevant for a number of years. Washington struggled deeply. The Eagles have been up and down. You know, the tough one against Washington, and this is going to be key because those
The up was pretty good, though, wasn't it?
Yeah. The DBs are going to be big because, you know, in that 7-1, that Dak, he's got 17 TDs, one pick. They're going to need to pick him to win this game. They're going to have to lock down some of CeeDee Lamb. They're going to have to definitely find a way to force them to run the ball, let those big tackles make plays. So all those things, ultimately, you know, Dak and the Cowboys have all the stats, but that cannot account for teams that are on a roll. And Washington is on a roll. So I'll take the football team in this one on a late field goal from kicker number 4, 30-27.
My boy Brian Johnson. Barely anyone on the team knew his name before that kick against the Raiders.
Great
Alright.
kick.
And thunderstruck
kick.
by Brian Johnson. Thunderstruck!
I genuinely thought he was gonna miss that watching it go up. But from one great division to another great division, we got an AFC North matchup: Ravens versus Browns. The Ravens are in a similar situation like us, playing the same opponent like every 2 weeks now at this point. The last time the Ravens team played the Browns, they did a great job of limiting Kareem Hunt and Nick Chubb. It was a good game, and Lamar showed why he's an MVP, or he has MVP caliber moments. He showed up and played well, and they got the win. I believe he did throw 4 interceptions in that game, though, didn't he? Yep. But MVP moments, he ended up winning that game somehow. So that's what the Ravens need again from him. This defense needs to patch up real fast. I know they're hurt and injured. I don't think the Browns are going to try a running game here. I think they're just going to try airmailing this game to Peoples Jones, Jarvis Landry, this, and David Njoku. I hope the Browns do that, because if they try forcing a run game here, I don't know what their coach is doing. This is a match that's screaming for them to pass the ball consistently. But I feel like the Ravens, they always find a way to beat their division opponents. Lamar finds something crazy to do, and it's hard to pick against him with all the type of streaks he's had. So give me the Ravens winning this game 21-17.
Yeah, like you said, man, it's just, it's another very important divisional game, like you said, for the Washington football team and Dallas Cowboys. This is for Baltimore and Cleveland, and the Ravens are after the loss against Pittsburgh. We're still sitting at 8-4, and first place in the North due to the Bengals losing. And Cleveland, who is 6-6, is still sitting in the bottom of the division. But that it doesn't really mean much because it's still this division's still up for grabs. Like, it's still a very open division. It's anyone's for the taking. This game has heavy playoff implications for both teams and seeding wise. The Browns are coming off a bye week and having the extra week to play game plan against a team who they lost to going into their bye again. I think they'll be well prepared for Lamar Jackson and crew. And with the loss of Marlon Humphrey, I'd imagine the Browns team, like Ungud said, taking full advantage of this already weakened Ravens passing D trying to get Chubb and Hunt going. But it's the Browns. Like Juju said last year, Browns will be the Browns. I think it still will be a dogfight, but yeah, it's the Browns, man. Come on. It's the Browns. It's Baker Mayfield. He's not that good. Like 4 interceptions, 4 interceptions, and you still couldn't put up any points from that. Are you kidding me? Are you? Okay, I'm sorry, but
Did Lamar have 4 the other week?
yeah, no, I'm talking about like when we played him. I'm talking about 4 interceptions. He couldn't capitalize anything off of that. So, I mean, there's something telling me inside that this Ravens team is still not done, even after all like the things we've come through. I think it's just something about this John Harbaugh, something in that locker room that just wants to keep this team going and going and keep fighting. It's not going to be an easy game, but give me the Ravens 24-20. I can't pick against the Ravens. It's just I don't know.
I mean, this is a tough game to call because of what you just said, Rashad. And the way you finished that was absolutely perfect there. And John Harbaugh going for it was just awesome. I mean, I'll just say, like, again, as someone, from this, again, great respect for that play. I really, obviously, it's so disrespectful. What are you talking about? It's the greatest rivalry in sports. That's what you do.
How is that disrespectful? How is that disrespectful?
Right. Exactly.
You're going for a win.
Exactly. You play to win the games, right? So, yeah, I mean, look, no question. I think they're going to bring that moxie and that swagger to this game. But defensively, they just don't have the horses. They need a week or two to adjust to this. And their schedule is looking brutal. This is a tough thing for them to have to come off this game on the road. And then, wow, I mean, schedule makers did you guys no favors down the stretch, nor us. So it's going to be rough. New England's going to, as usual, because that division skate. Not that they haven't earned a lot of their big dubs, and they have. But let's be real, man. This Baltimore team is going to fight in this game, but I think Cleveland wins because they've had the rest. And look, Faker's horrendous. We know this. But I think they'll do enough on the ground, as you saw us do late, right? I mean, I'll say the Ravens had, second best run defense in the league, but late in the game, we ate with second stringers on that line, including Leglue. We ate out there, okay? So don't tell me in the second half Cleveland's not going to eat. This game's going to be close at halftime. I think Ravens another slow start, up 10-7 at half. Ravens winning. Cleveland fans nervous and drunk. Second half, Cleveland turns it up on the ground, gets it done. I got Cleveland hanging on 21-20 in an absolute nail biter. And I think the Ravens are in trouble, guys. Really do. That Humphrey injury, massive.
By the way, if the Browns are winning, they're still nervous and drunk. Just to be clear, so the comment could go either way. By the way, it's winter in New England, so it's skating season anyway. So whether we're on the ice or we're just cruising through the AFC East, but I'm not ready to call it that just yet. And I know the Pats are off this week, so I won't use any more of my time on them. Lamar's 5-1 in his career against the Browns. But then again, aren't a lot of good quarterbacks something and one against the Browns anyway? I mean, that's kind of how it works, So the Ravens are they're amped up, they're keyed up for a win this week after last week. I mean, that definitely had to leave a sour taste in their mouth. All the what if things, all the criticisms, Lamar criticisms against Andrews, run through the ball, run through the catch. Listening to Keyshawn Johnson and these guys talk about this kind of stuff. My God, how do you live with yourselves? Play happens fast, and it didn't work out, but I love the call. I think it was the right thing to do. And it did put him in a tough spot, though, because they need a win. And I agree with Mr. Ellis. I think they are in trouble. And Baker is Faker. I agree. Plus, he's so injured right now, even if he wasn't a faker, just getting the ball out is difficult for him. He's like Fred Garvin out there. Baker Mayfield struggling with his health, but he has a very easy task this week. Handing off to Nick Chubb, which they should do about 30 times. Hit Kareem Hunt on a couple screen passes, some reverses. Use your playmakers because the Ravens got nobody who can come up and tackle. So, I'm not a big Ravens fan, as you know, but in this one, I feel a little bad for him because I don't like seeing good teams get banged up. So for me in this one, I see the home team again. I'm going with the home teams this week for a lot of these picks. I think the home team makes a difference. Browns 20, Ravens 17.
Ooh. Can I say one more thing here, Mr. Wood, here, just to close in for everyone here? Just big shout out to Marlon Humphrey, okay, guys? I mean, this is awful. This is not cool at all. And I'm gonna say just straight up, I mean, he's basically Ike Taylor from the Steelers combined with Sean Taylor, right? He can cover
That's some praise right there.
on the island.
That's
No, he can
praise.
cover on the island and he can hit like a truck, man. And how he got hurt is awful to me because he tried to make a play, man. He didn't sally out like Melvin Ingram against the Bungles when he completely whiffed on Joe Mixon, didn't even try to tackle a business decision, right? Here, Humphrey literally threw his entire force at 280 pounds. Well, it's DeAndre Johnson, right? So 210 pounds, but still, you threw 210 pounds of force that caused that injury. He was trying to save that TD. I mean, he almost made an incredible play that would have won them that game. So I'm just going to say, man, to me, big shout out to that guy. He is an absolute baller. His dad, as you know, Mr. Wood and I, we know, an absolute baller.
Absolutely.
And so, mad respect to the Humphrey fam for raising a kid who was able to do what your dad did and even play me, maybe be better than him. Only thing he's missing is that Super Bowl champion. I'm going to say he ain't getting it this year.
Yeah, one thing I also want to point out is that like now with the Marlon Humphrey injury, 3 of our 4 highest players are injured. That includes Marlon Humphrey, Marcus Peters, Ronnie Stanley. The only sole person being left is Mark Andrews. So it's a tough scene. I mean, yeah, it's a tough
And
stretch.
you
I
got
mean,
Blue Lou, and they're getting him next. Yeah, I mean it's not looking good. I mean that
yeah.
Humphrey injury though is the one. I mean that's the other 2 guys you could survive. I mean look at Green Bay when they beat us in the Super Bowl in 2010, right? They had 21 guys on IR, but it wasn't the big dogs.
Mm-mm, mm-mm. Yeah, the
And
injury bug finally came up and caught us. So I mean, we can't keep getting lucky. So yeah.
All right, let's do this game. Let's
And
go.
now, next up, we have
Finale.
AJ Seahawks versus Texans. Remember, it's just a game, Seahawks fans. Luckily, this game, you guys won't lose it. Hopefully, Russell Wilson shows up. Give me the Seahawks winning this game 31-10.
Yeah, Seattle's coming off a good win against division opponent San Francisco. Russell Wilson completing 81% of his passes, and somehow this Houston team got torn apart by Indy. Seattle will have no problem dealing with them. Give me Seattle 28-10.
Fellas, you got to go with Russ. He looks hot, and hopefully he's going to look hot as Hades in a Steeler uniform next year, just melting some steel hearts. Come on, baby. As Steelheart would say back in the 80s, I'll never let you go. We could do anything to get you, Russ. I'll do anything, my man, for love. And I will do that. Whatever it takes, brother. Come on to Pittsburgh, Russ. We need you, baby.
Russ, Ben for Russ, straight up. The Seahawks have a bye week this week. It's in Houston. And no offense to our man AJ, but this game this got to be the who cares game of the week.
Stink, stank, stunk.
Anything involving Houston at this point, but it's good medicine for the Seahawks. They don't have much of a chance for the playoffs, but they still have a chance. It's still possible out there with Russ playing the way he's playing and a nice little what should be a gimme like this one to help him keep getting well. I'll take Seahawks 28, Texans 13.
All right, and that wraps up our picks for the game slated games for Week 14. It's been great talking to you guys. Great picks. Hope some great football follows Week 14. Week 13 was a great week. Now we're in the stretch of the season where people decide who plays in the playoffs, if they keep playing in January, or who just stays home. All right, it's been On God, Mr. Ellis, Rashab, and Mr. Woodward. Hope you guys stay safe, have fun, and have a great week, guys. See you guys.
See y'all.